What is going on, guys? Welcome to another video. As you can see, I am testing out a new mic. This is the Rode mic. It's a wireless mic. My other mic kind of gets in the way sometimes and I'm not able to express my arms and what I want to do. So I want to try out this mic, so bear with me. I know it's been a hot minute since I talked about any type of gaming content on this channel. The reason why is because I've been heavily going into Battlefield 6, getting more adjusted. The last time I played in Battlefield game seriously was about Battlefield 4, so it's going to be a long time. I played 2042, but I only played like maybe one or two multiplayer matches before I decided, hey, this wasn't the game for me. Battlefield 6 was much more different and I am very much more excited and into the game, and I've been playing it non-stop since its release. Now mind you, this is coming from a COD player that's been playing COD for 20 plus years. I've been playing ever since Call of Duty 2, like I've always mentioned. So the fact that this was able to take my attention off of Warzone, off of Call of Duty, and still genuinely enjoy playing the game, not just for content wise, not just because I'm trying to ride the Battlefield hype, but I really do enjoy my time playing Battlefield. But enough glazing the game. I really want to get into the settings and really give you a breakdown for any Call of Duty player that is also transitioning into Battlefield. I think this is going to be a very good way to translate what you know settings wise that's in Call of Duty to try to match it and match your play style of how you're going to aim and shoot in Battlefield 6, and how it's slightly different where you're gonna have to do some adjustments. But here are some of the main aim settings that you should know going into Battlefield. Alright, so I'm going to get right into it and I'm just going to go through some of the settings that I think you should know and kind of understand of how what you know on COD translate into Battlefield. Even if you're new to just any FPS game in general, I think knowing these settings will help you get more adjusted to Battlefield. So starting with the infantry aim settings, think of infantry aim settings for my Call of Duty players as your look sensitivity, so your horizontal and vertical. Unfortunately, they don't have it separated slightly. They put it both in one setting. So in my opinion, I think to match the speed, or if you're new to Battlefield and you're going to notice the aim is slightly different, I would say bring it down slightly. I wouldn't keep it at 100 or 90. Bring it down to 80, 70, maybe bring it really low. I have mine set at 50, but I know over time I might bring it back up as get more adjusted to Battlefield. But what I do recommend is go into your vertical aim ratio. Now think of your vertical aim ratio as your vertical sense. So like I've mentioned in Call of Duty settings, bring your vertical sense down, just because you're not going to do much vertical fighting in Battlefield. Maybe at most when you're trying to take down snipers or somebody that's in high elevation, you're going to get more incidences of that in Battlefield compared to Call of Duty. I set mine to 40. Now I don't know, for some of you it might be too low. You know, this is the part where you really have to practice. Go into your firing range, go into your matches, and really take note of how you're aiming in Battlefield so that you can adjust accordingly. Now moving on to zoom sensitivity coefficient. Now think of this as your ADS sense multiplier, but for your zoomed optics. So for your snipers, maybe for your 4x or 5x. Moving on to infantry aim assist. This is essentially your aim assist bubble. If you want more aim assist bubble, keep it at 100. If you want it slightly smaller because you don't want that slowdown happening too soon, make this lower. But in my opinion, I think the bubble is the right size even at 100, but this is all personal preference. Now for infantry aim assist slowdown, this is very interesting because the slowdown for the aim assist here is very, very strong. So for me, I tried to match the aim assist slowdown that I get in Call of Duty, and for me that's going to be about 50. But if you're new to just any FPS in general, I would say bring this up higher, bring this up lower, whatever your preference is. Like I said, always feel it out. Now for the aim input curve, I am going to come back to that because there's a lot to unpack in these settings, and I love the fact that they updated it to actually show you the multiple curves that they have for Battlefield. Now, I don't know if you noticed this yet, but for my stick input acceleration, I put for standard, and your aiming left and right acceleration, I don't know if it's like a set of wording that's weird, but the acceleration is actually higher when the value is lower. So that's why I have it at 100. It's not that, hey, I set it to 100, that means my acceleration is going to be 100% faster. It's actually slowing it down. So I don't know if they have to change the wording for this, but it was very confusing for me because when I looked at this setting, I'm thinking, okay, I don't want that acceleration, so I brought the value down to 0. But when I did that, the acceleration got actually faster. That's why I said I don't know if they have to change the wording on the settings, because it's kind of doing the opposite of what you want it to do. Alright, so this is the biggest explanation in the video, and I think you should really pay attention to this part because I'm going to talk to you about aim input curve. Because for a lot of players, they're looking at these lines, they have no idea what these lines are doing or what it actually means for their aim. So let's just look at one, for example. The one that I'm using is BF3. You can see that it's highlighted. Now, If you look at the picture itself, that line, that curve, going from left to right, if you're just looking at the picture, left to right, when you look at the left of it, this is the beginning of your aim. To the right of the curve, that's the end of your aim. So what that means is this curve is showing you how fast your aim is going to move based on what part of the aim that you're on, beginning, middle, or end. And then when you look at how steep the curve is, the steepness of the curve is dependent on how fast that aim is moving during that time of the aim going from beginning to end. So the steeper the curve, the faster the aim. So understanding this, right, if you take a look at, say, BF 2042 old input curve, you can see that at the beginning of the curve, it is a slow speed. But once you get to the middle, it kind of ramps up, maybe about 50%. But when it gets to the end of the aim, it shoots up on the curve. That means that when you get to your end, it's not going to continue that same slowdown that you had in the beginning. It will actually move faster. Now, I don't know how 2042's aim input curve actually helps a player, because I wouldn't want a faster speed up at the end of my aim. The only thing I can think of is when you're hard scoping, right? You're hard scoping on a target, and then say your reticule hits here. You want that flick speed. So that means at the end of the curve, it's going to be fast. That allows you to flick right onto target. That's the only thing I can think of why a 2042 curve would be beneficial for a player. Then if you look at standard setting, it's a slowdown at the beginning of the aim, then it goes slightly faster in your mid aim, but at the end of your aim, it shoots up, but not as fast as 2042, because if you look at the curve, it's not as steep as 2042. So that's why I chose BF3. For me, being very new to Battlefield and coming from Call of Duty, the aim is slightly different. So for me to get used to the Battlefield's aim, BF3's input curve is a slow beginning, slight increase on the middle, and a steady increase at the end where it doesn't feel too fast. That way my aim feels much more smoother, much more consistent based on how much I push on the thumbstick. So for my Call of Duty players that play on linear and dynamic, I don't know about you, but playing linear and dynamic on Battlefield feels much more different, and I don't know why. I'll probably make a video later on once I figure out why, but the linear, it still feels non-linear, like there's still some type of acceleration, and unfortunately for your acceleration settings here, it doesn't bring it down to completely zero. Even for me, when I brought my acceleration down to 0, aka 100 point value that you see over here, I still feel some type of acceleration even with me being on linear and trying it out. And then the dynamic setting over here, so if you look at the curve, it's showing initial fast speed up, then it slows down on the mid aim, and then it speeds up again at the end of your aim. Call of Duty Dynamic does not do that. Call of Duty Dynamic input curve is initial speed up at the beginning and then slow down at the end. So I don't know what type of a dynamic that Battlefield is using, but it's much more different than Call of Duty. Ooh, that was a lot of words for the aim input curve. But hey, I like to nerd out. This is what I do. And when I'm looking at the Battlefield input curves, that's why it took a long time for me to post a video, because I really needed to understand the input curves first. And then moving on, infantry zoom aim sensitivity. I feel like this is their version of the ADS sensitivity multiplier. So this is how fast your aim is going to move within the aim assist bubble. I tried matching it with what I do in Call of Duty, and it's really about the same. So whatever you have for your ADS sensing COD, you can use the same for Battlefield. This is going to be your general settings for your aim speed in general, but if you want to have specifics for your zoom sensitivities on the type of scope that you're using, I highly recommend customizing it, because I feel personally that based on the scope that I use, whether it be a 1x, 1.5, 1.75, 2.0, 4.0, 5.0, there's so many zoom sensitivities. I feel like some scopes do better when you are faster, and some scopes do better when they are slower. So up to you, feel it out, find what works for you. But that's all that we have to talk about for this video. I feel like having a settings video is a really good place to start in regards to Battlefield content. I am still going to be doing Call of Duty content, going back and forth. I don't know if I want to do that separately on a channel. This channel is still very small, so maybe there's still a possibility I can just blend both of the FPS games in there, because generally I love Battlefield, I'm liking Call of Duty, but with Call of Duty, high SPMM, the cheating issue that doesn't ever seem to go away with Call of Duty, I am just getting frankly tired of it. I still enjoy Call of Duty nonetheless as a gamer in general, but when I compare having to play against players more organically, having a more balanced team, and I'm really loving the technical aspect of Battlefield compared to Call of Duty. You know, Call of Duty, there's so much coddling with aim assist. Hit scan is about 95% with all of the weapons. With Battlefield having to make me think more, to be more strategical with my gameplay, I'm liking that aspect of it. So hey, if you like Battlefield content, stick around. I'm going to be pushing out more. And if you like Call of Duty content still, I'll still be pushing out. Stay tuned for those videos as well, okay? But if you did enjoy this video, guys, please drop a like on it. It helps it tremendously in the algorithm. But if you do enjoy this content overall, please drop a sub to the channel. We'd love to see you here for the next video, okay? But as always, stay pure, stay noble, and hashtag bring back honest gaming. Later, guys.